Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women and Girls new web show, In the Movement. I'm your host, Camila Rivera-Tinsley, and each month we will interview incredible individuals who are working towards creating a more sustainable and equitable future with conversations focused on gender and racial and environmental justice. Now, this month, I'm honored and thrilled to have my special guest, Dr. Karen Hall, join me. We will be discussing an important event coming up, and we'll be diving into sports and the role that sports plays in the lives of women and girls. And so let's dive right in and get to know a little bit about Dr. Karen Hall. So, Dr. Hall, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing about yourself and your life and your perspective with me and all of the viewers that are here. So, welcome.
Thank you very much, Kamala. First off, congratulations to you. This is a great platform to share all different types of issues and information. So, all the best as you continue this new platform on your end.
Thank you so much. And just for our friends out there, I want to make sure that I ground everyone in understanding how talking about issues having to do with women and intersectional issues, including race and gender, how does that connect to environmental issues? And so at the Women and Girls Foundation, the reason that this connects for us is that for me, I'm coming from an environmental background and I use the framework of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And when you look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, there are goals that are helping the world to be able to invest and to grow in a way that it's going to be sustainable for all. And one of the things that is listed there is that we have to create a future that is just and equitable for women. And so that's where the intersection of these topics lies for me. And I'm excited to dig right in. All right, so you're here to talk about so many things, but there is an event, a special date that's coming up next week on February 7th. It will be the 38th annual National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Can you share with us why that is so important?
I would love to. And for sure, the 30th annual, that is so huge because the transformation of women in sports throughout back then to where we are now has been developmental. And we've reached so many different milestones and have broken so many barriers for young women to now, one, have role models to see in the sports in which they choose to play in. There's commercials about women in sports on television, the exposure that reaches nationally. And there are women who are in business through sport. There are women who are coaching other women and women coaching men. So it's so huge on so many levels that this platform here just excites me because for our viewers and our listeners, it will make a difference in how they maybe think about women in sports and both men and women, not just a women platform.
Thank you, thank you. I know in our conversations in the past, I always share. I tend to be a little bit more on the nerdy side of things. So when I was in school, the activities that I was participating in were mostly arts and crafts, and I used to be on Quiz Bowl and things like that. But now that I've stepped in my role here at Women and Girls Foundation, something that I've really learned a little bit too late in life, in fact, is that more than 50% of women who are CEOs and who hold C-suite positions in corporations, they have a background in sports. And so when I look at those stats, I know that sports has really been something that's been able to uplift many, many women and girls here in the United States and beyond. So I really, really appreciated learning about that.
Yeah, I'm going to say to that statistic. So, what happens in sports early or whenever you begin to play, you begin to learn these life skills that you're not really aware of because you're just playing the games. But it's teamwork, it's resiliency, the losing and the winning. But losing is like that level of adversity that you feel different opposed to when you're in a joyous state of winning, right? But these are um, life skills that you are truly learning how to communicate to people with different personalities, right? And then how to learn to listen, not just hear, but listen to comprehend and then to move into action. And one of the biggest things about sport that physically it teaches you a lifestyle of health and wellness. and mental health and wellness because it moves fast. Nothing is the same. So when I hear that statistic for me, I can't be surprised by any means because you are prepared from the time you start, and depending when you stop or get to the high level, you have been embedded with those skill sets that will be with you wherever direction or career you decide to embark upon.
So glad you highlight that. A lot of the time in these past couple of weeks, I've really been thinking about the Women and Girls Foundation's new middle school program. So it's a middle school offshoot of GirlGov. And, and thinking about why after school programs are so important, one of the reasons why they're so important is that they give that same foundation that you were talking about. And educators in the after school space, we call that 21st century learning skills. So a lot of employers, the employers of today and the future, they're looking for math and science and those foundational skills, but really the thing that's going to set most people apart are those interpersonal skills. So being able to work with one another, being able to communicate, and as you said, being able to have resiliency when there's a situation or a problem or something that doesn't quite go your way. And so it's really interesting to me, in my space as I'm experiencing things, to really see that sports also reinforces those same critical skills. So I want to talk a little bit, dig a little bit into some issues that, might be uncomfortable, but are really, really important for us to address. Why is there still so much discrimination when it comes to women and girls in sports?
Well, it always goes back to the economics because sports is a business. And forever, the purses have been handled by men. So that begins like the first part of the discrepancy and discrimination. But what has happened through the media exposure that has, to me, has totally volcano eruption of what is happening, that sports is huge among women and it's bringing in revenue. Now, it's not bringing in revenue such as men's athletics, but on the Olympic level, women are having tremendous success comparatively to the men on that same level. And the difference is women have found their voices in this. So the men may still hold the purse, but the women have grabbed many of the strings. Okay. And they are saying no longer because it's the same game, same regulations, some variances in different sports, but the game doesn't change. And women are being successful and they know the business of sport. The game is the game, but the business of sports, what draws people to the game, the marketing side of it, the branding side of it, finding jerseys and headbands in stores for purchase, that's all revenue driven. And that has been one of the major differences that has made many people uncomfortable because now women have money now, right? So, I'll say like with women's soccer at the Olympic level, right? So Megan Rapinoe, she said, wait a minute. She and her teammates said, we were winning the gold. The men are winning bronze or nothing, and yet they're on a dollar side, low level. And so now that has been changed. But if you don't speak up, again, we talk about the skill sets that you learn through sport, that you have to fight. It's competing. We really all compete every day, right? But we don't look at it like that unless it's like the lens of athletics. Like I live literally through the lens of athletics, right? So when we talk about the discrepancy and discrimination, you have to first recognize what's happening. And then you have to draw on your facts, and then you have to game plan, right? And strategize. And then you got to move into the action of how we're going to make this change. And that is what we've seen throughout the last decade or longer with women's athletics at the high school level, at the collegiate level, and at the professional level in all sports.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
What are some major milestones that you've seen that women and girls have made pertaining to sports on a national level?
Yeah, I just go right to the level of exposure. So you have the exposure of the WNBA, the women's soccer, the professional women's soccer, softballs all on ESPN. The networks have bought into that this is a worthy product. And then you have individuals right now, like the name, image, and likeness factor that's changed collegiate athletics. So you have the Angel Reeses, like the names are all name recognition. The Caitlin Clarks of Iowa, name recognition. The Dawn Staley's, right? So name recognition, major milestone. The exposure, major milestone, right? Where women are also coaching men, women are officiating in the NFL. These are major milestones. So you talk about what can little girls aspire to? Well, now they can see women doing things that I didn't see them doing. And there's an aspiration there. Wow, I didn't know women can blow the whistle on the flag in like NFL. Like that's the highest level of competition, right? Or the NBA. Major milestones. Women athletic directors at the collegiate level, the Power Fives, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Southeastern Conference. Major milestones. Women are coaching men at all levels. Major milestones. Women are in seats around the business table. I'll give Condoleezza Rice. She was put on the collegiate championship committee to figure out who goes where. Major milestones. So on and on and on. But yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the movement here.
Yes, absolutely. So many good things happening. And yet also that acknowledgement that even though we've accomplished all of these milestones and we see more figures, there's still so much further for us to go. And this is also really resonating because, you know, the Women and Girls Foundation, we were formed so that we could remove the barriers that were in existence for women and girls. So 21 years ago, there were not as many women that were on boards and not as many women that were in these positions of power. And that also held seats in the state legislature.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things are really, really important to the organization, Women and Girls as well. So another question that I have is, what is Title IX and why is Title IX so important?
Sure. So Title IX, I'll just say thank the Lord for it. And God bless the women that came before Title IX. But we know Title IX, or if you don't know, Title IX is actually an educational law, right? It's not a sports law. Sports kind of fell into it because of the resources, the accommodation, and the proportionality. We call those the three-pronged test that in the world of athletics, collegiate athletics specifically, universities and colleges must be compliant in those areas. So resources. So if men's have facilities, well, the women need to have comparable facilities as well. Proportionality, the numbers, like the enrollment numbers based on the number of men and women participating in sports. And then the proportionality, resources, and accommodation. Are you, if men have 13 sports and women have 6, are you putting out feelers and surveys of what other sports women would want? So it's not equal. I always use the word equitable. It's not going to be equal, but it needs to be equitable to where there's an acknowledgement and there's an opportunity for women to have a women's soccer team, to women have a softball team when men's have baseball. So it has to be equitable. The locker rooms. So the women can't dress in the bathroom while the men has this elaborate plush locker room space, right? So it has to be equitable. And that comes under compliance at the collegiate level because you're dealing with federal dollars. So federal dollars, if you're not in compliance, there's a process, obviously, but federal dollars can be removed from that athletic component within a university setting. But it's really important to understand that Title IX, 1972, Richard Nixon, education first, right? And then the sports filtered into the actual law and the proportionality and playing out of Title IX for women.
Yes, Title IX opened up so many doors for so many
Yes.
individuals. and
Yeah.
really change the higher education landscape.
Yes.
So even myself, I always associated Title IX specifically with sports, but Title IX
Hmm.
is so much more than that. It
Yeah.
is about making sure that there are the same protections, resources, and rights for
Yeah.
women, self-identified women on
Yeah.
college campuses. And
Yes.
that includes up to making sure that there are birthing facilities and nursing facilities, and making sure that there are supports for women who have been sexually assaulted. So
Yes.
much more that we could talk about when it comes to Title IX, which actually brings me to the event that's coming up on the 7th at Oakland Catholic. Can you share with us a little bit more about that event and how you came up with the idea?
Yeah, so it was very easy, right? So we just said that National Girls and Women's Sports Day, NGWSD, is celebrating the 30th annual. So I work at an all girls high school. So to me, it really was a no brainer because what you want to do, not every girl knows about National Girls and Women's Sports Day, right? So we don't take that for granted. So it's up to me to say, hey, I need to present an opportunity of exposure, an opportunity of learning. That today you are the athlete, the student athlete. Tomorrow you'll be the business women in sport or having that background. So let me engage you with some professional women who on their journey has come through some level of sport or some contact within sport, right? So that you can see there's other areas outside of the player that you can grow up to aspire to. I'm an athletic director, right? I'm a former collegiate coach, right? So there's mentors and mentees. So there are opportunities for that. So I thought it was important to celebrate National Girls and Women's Sports Day for the student body at Oakland Catholic, right? So it'll be a setup I call like the happy hour style because it's during lunchtime, but they'll be able to come in and out and have conversation with professional women like yourself, okay, to figure out. Let me just get some nuggets. I always say like grab some golden nuggets that you can kind of hold on to and build as these young women go and form along within their own journey and path. So I'm really excited about it. I think the panelists that we have, 6 women from our Title IX event, maybe some few other special guests, and some local college student athletes will be on hand as well. So it'll go fast, but I'm so excited and thankful that the administration understands the importance of National Girls and Women in Sports Day here.
Yes, yes. Well, I want to say thank you for sharing that importance with me because you are a mentor to me, and Women and Girls Foundation mentorship is at the core. Mentorship and community is at the core of our programs and what we do, and also being able to teach all individuals how to advocate for themselves. So
Yes.
I'm really excited to be in the space as well and to learn about Title IX and to share with other young women and emerging professionals how important it is to understand that tool. Because I know that when I was in school, when I went to college, I didn't really know about how Title IX applied to me. But once you
Mm.
have that information, you are
Hmm.
able to use that when you see that there are inequities in the system
Yeah.
that you are navigating. So I think it's so important. And I am so thrilled that I get to learn from you, Dr. Hall.
Thank you.
So, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, I just really like to say that it's really important for the growth of women's athletics, just women in general, that women support other women. So I know that's been one of the, I would say, if we're doing a SWOT analysis, that would go into the weakness. It's gotten better, it's improved, but when women support other women, business increases, opportunities expand, right? And we know for sure that even girls that start out playing, when they hit that high school age, that 13, 14, sometimes they take that different path and we lose many girls. And right at that pubescent time frame where we're saying this is when we need to hold you because this is when these life skills we talk about can really help you identify and recognize some things before you go off and we lose you to sport. So those are 2 areas for sure. And one, just be a student of life, as I say, right? Just be a student of life because athletics it gives us so many things. But women's athletics in general, where I said we're still competing because there's so many other issues that's really has Title IX up against the fence. And women need to be very cognizant that we fight to bring it off the fence and keep it in the forefront, or things will definitely change on the other side.
Well, thank you so much for sending us out with those really, really powerful, important words. And like you said, it's so important for us to support one another. So I'm glad that I have you on my team, and I'm glad to be on your team. Anything you need, I will be here for you. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we're looking forward to February 7th, National Women and Girls in Sports Day. Have a
Loved it.
wonderful rest
Thank
of your
you.
afternoon.
Thank you.